questions.
Order. We're now going to oral questions. Question number 1 is in the name of the Honourable Simon Pritchard.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all his government's policies and actions?
I call the Acting Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, in their specific context, particularly when I said that the women's and men's rugby sevens should be congratulated for their fantastic victory over the last weekend, in that context, definitely yes.
Does he think there should continue to be mutual obligations on beneficiaries to be looking for work or working towards training for work?
The difference between this government and the former government is that we believe that people need to be assisted back into work, and they shouldn't be forced to starve and freeze whilst they're getting the employment that should have been set up for them 9 years ago.
So should there be obligations on beneficiaries to be looking for work?
Those obligations already exist. That's why we have the lowest unemployment since that member can remember.
Going up.
Should people on the job seekers benefit be drug-free and continue to be drug-free while they're looking for or in employment?
Order. Order. There were 2 ministers then who interjected, and it's no good looking behind you. I'll make a decision and communicate it.
In an ideal world, of course that member's right, but our job is to take people who have fallen by the wayside, pick them up again and put them back into the workforce.
Does that involve consequences for beneficiaries repeatedly failing to comply with obligations to work or not being drug-free while, again, looking for work?
That member will know, if he's familiar with our social welfare system, that there are already consequences and that the MSD ensures that that happens all the time. No, they have not taken it all away. If that member wasn't so dislocated from reality, he'd know that.
How can he say they're not taking away the government that is the sanctions when the job seekers benefits up some 4,000, when the sanctions being applied are down 20-something%, when the government minister is making it incredibly clear that there'll need to be 2 opinions before sanctions applied, and formally telling WINS they shouldn't be applying sanctions, and he's got a working group out that's mandated to get rid of the sanctions?
It's very difficult, Mr Speaker, to actually answer that diatribe because it had so many elements to it.
That's the ostrich answer.
Yeah.
Well, let me be very simple for the Prime Minister. How does he explain?
Order. The member will start with a question.
How does the Prime Minister explain that the number of benefits are up relatively significantly and the sanctions are down pretty significantly?
Benefit numbers were up 3,000 from the all-time high figure under the global financial crisis that member had under his control, and after 9 years had gone up by 3,000. Those are the facts.
Yeah, but what are they fighting?
Does he agree with Jan Logie that 8 out of 277,000 beneficiaries being suspended each day for breaches of obligation is too many?
Well, in an ideal world, of course I would agree with that member. And the reality is we haven't given up. We haven't given up in the kind of economic and social utopia that we're organising at this point in time. We don't take that dismal, puritanical view of the roadshow that went around the country filling up telephone booths and calling it a worldwide campaign.
Got more people at his meetings than you do.
Does he agree with Jan Logie, who said applying obligations to beneficiaries are, quote, not the actions of a decent and compassionate government, or does he actually believe that obligations are a compassionate tool to help people into work which will improve their life outcomes?
Mr Speaker, I could say that there's been a long time since I've heard the neoliberal experiment being described as an impassioned tool to help the poor. This is a new one on us. Right.
So it's quite clear, is it, that he does not support sanctions, that he thinks beneficiaries should be able to languish on the dole queue?
Which of the two questions would the member like me to answer?
Well, I couldn't find one amongst them.
The answer is yes.
How can he stand here and defend the policies of Labor and the Greens to soften obligations, remove sanctions and put more people on welfare when he clearly doesn't believe in it himself, and his colleagues have actively advocated getting the NEFs off the couch with sanctions?
Because the program that we have advocated as a government about getting the NEFs off the couch is about providing the work for them in the first place. You can't get them off the couch if there's no place to go and work at. That's the difference. And, you know, I'm going to be concerned about about Jacinda Ardern calling me shortly and saying, I better stay here, this job looks too easy.
Will the Prime Minister give a straight question to whether or not his government straight answer to whether or not his government is going soft on sanctions and allowing beneficiaries to languish on the dole queue?
Repeating a misnomer does not give it any validity. The reality is all of my colleagues and all of these members over here are dedicated to provide more real work and first world wages for New Zealand citizens. And the first citizen of the provinces has been all around the country opening up opportunities for that to happen. Because if you're going to get people off the couch and you're going to get them out of the pool room and every other place in town, you have to have work for them, and work we will have.
Question number 2, the Honourable Amy Adams.
Thank you. My question is to the